Dr. Lars Richter, you head the Prague-based Friedrich Naumann Foundation for Freedom. Your mission is to promote liberal democracy and civic education. Do you feel that you're losing ground, especially in the area of promoting liberal democracy in Central and Eastern Europe?
I mean, that is a challenge, that's right, to promote that here in the region, but worldwide. I mean, that is unfortunately well clear that liberalism and everything which has to do with that, the idea of parliamentarism, pluralism, rule of law, that is under pressure. I think that has been always under pressure, but it's more and more complicated. We are talking about shrinking spaces, so that's why it's challenging. That's for sure. And I mean, you refer to our office in Prague. So we work from Prague on, from our office in Prague, we work in 5 different countries, amongst others in Poland, in Hungary, in the Czech Republic and Slovakia.
So
and I mean,
mention actually
yes.
Some of the usual suspects.
Exactly.
I mean, we have liberal voices, democratic voices persistently being challenged in Hungary. We have Slovakia turning inwards. We've just had the elections in the Czech Republic, where it seems that populism is alive and well. But even here in Poland, I think that the liberal experiment now is coming under some strain. How do you stop those kind of trends moving on to the other areas? You mentioned a few countries. Where else are you active in Central and Eastern Europe?
So we have offices in Sofia for Bulgaria and Romania. And we have an office in Belgrade for Western Balkan states, quite interesting as well, a quite relevant region as well, with Serbia under pressure as well. So we are active in many countries out of Europe as well, where democracy and freedom is under threat. I used to work for the foundation between 2012 and 18 in South Korea. South Korea is fine, but we have projects in North Korea, believe it or not, quite complicated.
So if we think Central and Eastern Europe is a challenge, North Korea is definitely a challenge. We mentioned the word liberal democracies. Now, the very word liberal acts as a red rag to a bull for many, especially on the right here in this region. Liberal, what do they associate? Western elites meddling in our internal affairs. How do you get over that kind of prejudice with an audience who you've almost lost the conversation before you've even started talking to them?
I mean, that's absolutely right. I mean, let's start with a very simple issue. I mean, we have in Germany only one word, Freiheit, and I mean, depending on the state where we work, from time to time we translate it as liberalism or freedom. So since, I mean, you're absolutely right, liberalism in many countries that had a quite bad or very at least problematic connotation. So that's why we from time to time we prefer to talk about freedom. But I mean, anyway, I mean, liberalism is not only, I mean, that is linked by many people to what you were referring to. So a Western elite, a bubble, capital city, Café Bratislava, Café Prague, you name it. So it's a very problematic issue. So we need to explain that liberalism is first of all, a very neutral concept. And it has nothing to do with, it's not a tool for any elite in any country to control the people. That is what authoritarian leaders, our competitors, let's say it like that, let's call them like that, our competitors, they are playing around. So we need to be careful not to play their game. We need to be self-confident, and we need to say to redefine, to get it back, to get this term back, and to say that is our term, first of all very neutral, but we would like to fill it in a very constructive way, and it's nothing for our enemies playing around with that and playing against us, blaming us to be and to rule just an elite project. So that is very difficult. Again, my message is to be more self-confident and to get it back, this term.
So it's clear now that this is also a question maybe of words, but also of perception. So actually using the term freedom probably is much more pragmatic in these times. It doesn't come with the connotations that can easily be used against your activities. But you face another challenge, another very specific challenge. You are a German, despite the fact that you're headquartered in Prague, you're actually a German-funded foundation. Now, that is another challenge because, for example, let's say that I was somebody who came from the nationalist right. How would you convince me that you are actually supporting liberal voices, democratic voices, and not promoting the political agenda of Berlin?
Yeah, that's another very important issue. I mean, we are in many, many countries, and Hungary is one example. Russia was another example. I mean, we closed our office there, but for many, many years, we were considered there and in many other countries as foreign agents, foreign agency. So in a very, very negative sense, logically. So that is a very, very important issue. I mean, first of all, so we are German. And I mean, you might say, so because of our history, we might have some challenges in some countries, but I need to say, thank heavens, I'm very, very thankful for that. So Germany has, after many, many decades and after many, many projects and many, many efforts, reconciliation had a much better reputation. So that's why it's not a problematic to be a German NGO or non-profit organization. It's more foreign. So from abroad and from a Western country. It's not necessarily German, from a Western country. And that is something very complicated. I mean, to be very clear, I mean, someone who would like not to be convinced, we won't convince him or her. That's for sure. I mean, or some representatives of the country we were naming, we were referring to, that is their toolkit. That is their what they are trained to blame us because we are foreigners. So you won't convince them. But you're absolutely right. I mean, there are many, many people believing or trusting that propaganda, let's call it like that, propaganda, and we might convince them to come back to the liberal, democratic, republican ideas, and that is much work. That is a very, 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 very demanding challenge. But that's why we are in different countries in another country. That's why we are ready to take that challenge, and we are ready to convince people that our liberal concepts are the better ones.
There are two pillars basically to your foundation, to your mission. So the promotion of liberal democracy, but also civic education. So maybe it's a little easier to move around in this area. Can you give me some examples that really give you the strength and the heart to continue with what you do, maybe from the area of civic education?
Yeah. Very interesting point. Before coming up with some concrete functions or concrete measurements, I would like to say, so we based our activities on the principle help people to help themselves, or support people to support themselves, which means we don't come as a foreign institution to a country preaching and converting people and preaching to people and saying how life works and how they need to do politics and how they do need to organize their countries or their organization or their societies. So that's the very, very basic issue. That's our mindset. So support people to support themselves. And then when it comes to concrete activities, I mean, one of our most important partners are political parties, but other NGOs and non-profit organizations as well, civic society. And then we do political education. So we do trainings with them. How, in the case of political organizations or youth organizations of political parties, we train them, for instance, how to do a campaign, how to communicate, how to organize a party. I mean, a party is not a party. And I don't say that the German model to form a party is the only way to do that, but I mean in many countries, so parties that are free associations being focused on one charismatic personality. So that is a little bit too less. So from time to time we train or we explain then the people how to form a party, how to organize that, how to organize head office, how to organize a party congress. So very, very concrete things.
Are you working with the youth wings of the political parties as well?
Yes.
Because
yes.
This is where actually we're seeing some of the most radical, sometimes some of the scariest trends. It's amongst the maybe 16 to 18-year-olds that in most European countries don't have the right to vote yet, but they're already being radicalized. You're dealing with political parties, so in a way you're kind of preaching to the converted. Do you reach out at all within your programs to youth in general, maybe that 16 to 18-year-old group?
Again, I mean, to cooperate with parties, respectively their youth organizations, is only one part, one chapter of our activities. In general, we try to reach out to youth organizations. There are in many countries, there are, for instance, then associations of young entrepreneurs or startup associations. So our other youth organizations, I mean, many think tanks, they have young networks as well. So that is a very, very important thing. So train the leaders of the future. That is a very, very important thing. We support summer schools. I mean, many of our think tank partners, for instance, in all our respective countries, they have summer schools for young leaders, for future leaders, students or young professionals. So, and we organize that. We organize speakers. We go there and telling or giving there some information about our work. So that is another issue. And plus which is very important as well, we offer scholarships in Germany for Germans, for students and PhD students, but for non-German students in Germany as well. So we do that as well. So yeah, train the future leaders.
Exactly. I think as we come to sum up our discussion today, I think this is the most important thing. Maybe some people are already lost. You know, we cannot bring them back into this discussion. But I think what you do is so important to train the future leaders, to make them aware of these challenges. Democracy is definitely under threat. Thanks to organizations like the Friedrich Naumann Foundation, I think we can end on a somewhat optimistic note.
Thank you very much for the invitation. It was a pleasure. Thank you
very much.